I'm getting close, dude.
You ready?
I'm getting so close right now, dude. To you.
Oh, that's fine. Other than the fact that you smell bad.
Do I?
I probably do.
Hard worker, you know.
I don't wear deodorant or do proper hygiene. I'm kidding.
We're good?
Yep.
Everyone good?
Hey, toaster. No, I'm just kidding. You thought I was going to do it. I don't want to. I don't like it. It makes me uncomfortable. It makes me feel weird.
What's up, guys? This is the Toasty Podcast. My name's Skye.
And I'm Matty B.
We are back at it again today
Yeah.
with the white vans. And we're talking about a lot of stuff. We're talking about IRS. We're talking about legal substance abuse. I'm just kidding. Legal substances. We're talking about everything under the sun. And all I can say is, let's get toasty.
Let's do it.
Okay. The reason I said maybe we should change the intro is because, I want to make it more fluid. Like, I'm talking to you like, hey, what's up, brother? How's your day been? And then all of a sudden, we're getting into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if I can get this right. Now that's something I can live with. Oh, yeah. Okay.
You like that? You more comfortable?
Oh, man, I love that, dude. Because I can look at you
Yeah.
and I can talk. We can talk to each other.
Yeah, I can even recline a little bit.
Dude.
Pull the mic back and
What's
chill.
going on, dude? Yeah. I think we're good.
Yeah.
I think we're good. Okay,
How was
cool.
your day at work, Mr. Skye?
I don't know. I don't know if I'm clicking. I don't know if it's like I'm clicking or what, but as an advisor, this month has definitely been rocking my socks.
Oh,
so,
cool. That's really good news.
I make money from selling work to the people that actually need work on their cars. Sadly, that is a sad truth.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not a crook about it. So
I'm a crook.
actually, dealerships are really not crooks. That's a common misconception.
It really is,
so.
yeah. Super. I mean, that could be a topic right there. It's just the perception that dealerships are all just money grubbing crooks.
I want to talk about that with Rory.
Oh, that'd be.
I'm going to have him on the show.
Yeah.
We're talking about dealerships and how they're crooks and everything else.
He helped us with the sound mixer. So shout out to Rory.
Yeah. Rory McGee, man. McGee. I don't know if that's how you say it. McGee? It's McKee.
It's McKee.
It's Mickey,
with
right?
With a K, yeah.
Mickey.
MCKEE, right?
Maybe he'll tell us. I don't know.
It's
Sorry for butchering your name, buddy.
McKee. You got like one of those little dashes over the second E, so it's McKee.
Is it? McKee?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, we got the mixer going. We got the freaking table out now. We got the freaking wall behind us. Isn't that freaking sweet, dude? Tribute to the cars that I love right there and BMW at the end.
Honestly,
Honestly,
wait, you like Lancers? What's the deal with that? You got two random Lancers. And S2000. Is that
So
what
I
that is?
used to own an Evo 9.
Oh,
A Lancer Evo 9. I owned one for about a year and a half or so.
I didn't know that.
It was it was, oh my gosh. I shouldn't have sold it, and I did. It was 38,000 miles, pristine condition. Had a tiny little burn spot on the paint, and that's it. And I could have fixed that pretty easily. Now that I know about it, it was stock. Probably had been abused, but it wasn't abused anymore. So it had been taken back to stock. The car's worth a lot more now. I sold it for a lot less.
Yeah.
So I'm an idiot.
Skyrocketed.
But
in
I'll say
value.
this. Handling is shite. It's terrible. I hated it. I had an E46 M3 before that car, and that's why I sold it. Because long
those are
live
two different
BMW,
worlds.
I guess. Yeah, it's a totally different world out there.
Yeah.
Now, I just put that flag up there because that's like the only thing I had, so it'll get better. Anyway.
Yeah, we'll get a Mercedes flag in here, and it'll all be good.
What? No.
I mean,
What?
That's just a real German car, no big deal.
Okay, I'm not going to argue with you on this episode. Maybe a future episode.
Maybe the one that Rory's on, we can talk about cars a little bit more.
Dude, let's do it, man. He has a freaking Chevelle. What does he have?
He has a. Oh no, it's not a Chevelle. It's honestly, it's an Oldsmobile Cutlass. 75 Oldsmobile Cutlass.
A Cutlass, huh?
Yeah. I think it had like blue vinyl interior when he got it.
Man, I just really wish this chair
It's
got
white.
lower, you know?
I know that chair is really high. I was in it last
you
time.
expect it to like go down. It's like, oh, okay. No, it doesn't do anything. Nothing, dude.
This chair goes down. Pew.
He's small now.
Anyway, so
Cool. That's something else we're working on. But we were going to talk about IRS, right?
yes.
The whole thing.
So in 2016, our senator, because we're from Texas, Ted Cruz, one of our two senators, obviously. Ted Cruz ran for president, and two of his big legislative agendas or legislative goals, I guess, for his first 100 days, I think, was repealing Obamacare, which pretty much every Republican was like, yeah, repeal it. And they were like, repeal and replace. And I was like, oh, God, here we go.
Repeal and replace.
Swampy. Yeah, crap.
Okay.
It's just, let's do our version instead. No, that's dumb. Anyway, so he was down for that. And he was down for abolishing the IRS and making a fair tax or a flat tax.
Ted Cruz, huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
And he basically was like, his whole pitch was like, we're going to abolish the IRS. It's going to save us like $500 million a year, or probably like $500 million a year or something crazy like that. And it's just, our taxes are going to be much more simplified. You can do all of your taxes on a postcard, do away with almost all loopholes, and then, yeah, pretty much that's it. Abolish the IRS.
So, well, okay, but...
And then Department of Treasury and Social Security Administration would be in charge of collecting tax revenue.
Oh, okay. That's what I was about to ask. Who's the next guy in line?
I don't like the Social Security Administration for reasons I cited last episode.
You were personally attacked by the government.
They definitely were screwing with me real hard.
I don't doubt it. I really don't.
And but anyway, speaking of that whole fiasco with the IRS targeting conservatives, the 501c3 nonprofit, conservative organizations. I honestly can't think of any offhand, but the IRS was specifically targeting those organizations, giving them audits, slowing down their whole process, and screwing them over pretty much any way they can. And it was a lot of corruption and bias in the IRS. And Lois Lerner, I want to say the director of the IRS, I think that's what her official title was. When she was asked, like, did you knowingly do this and break the law, she pled the fifth. And nobody really talks about that. She pled the fifth over and over and said, I'm not going to incriminate myself. So, enough said. You plead the fifth, you're pretty much guilty right there.
I don't like that.
Not in the eyes
I
of
don't
the law,
like that.
but...
That you're automatically guilty pretty much if you plead the fifth. I hate that, man. It's like we just talked about it on the last show. I declined not to answer on it's a totally different scenario. Mm-hmm. But on the little mail forms you fill out, or not mail forms, but like online forms you fill out to subscribe to stuff and Google or whatever. Justin was saying, he's like, dude, I think that everyone should just get used to it and put I decline not to answer on random crap like you're male or female, or do you like blue or yellow? Like, these questions don't matter to these people, but they're taking our data. Now, that's a totally different scenario. Mm-hmm. But I hate how the court system has made it to where maybe it's just always supposed to be like that. Have made it to where pleading the fifth is an automatic, like, oh, well, the public now thinks you're guilty. Yeah. Right? But is it just because that's how it goes? That's just it. Psychology.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't deny it or accept it, or what's the word, confess, then you're assumed guilty by.
Dang, dude, that's crazy, man.
By what's the word I'm looking for?
Does she not have a lawyer at that point, or what?
You can have a lawyer present with you. This is during a congressional hearing. In I think 2015, congressional hearing, and I wish I remembered more of it. I'm just kind of going from my memory of back then, but yeah, she pled the fifth, and there were others who pled the fifth as well, that were basically just under her, like assistant directors or deputy directors of the IRS. And the sad thing is it wasn't just the IRS that was being corrupted under the Obama administration. It was the FBI, for sure.
Yeah, we already know, right? Our boy,
Yeah, Michael Flynn was totally persecuted. Carter Page, and the CIA. The CIA was actually kind of the quote-unquote good guy in all this. They actually came out and said, no, Carter Page is working for us. Like, he's basically a CIA informant. And the FBI was like, "What? I can't hear you." And then they just ignored the CIA and went after the abused the FISA court and abused the process.
I think there's a lot of that going on.
Yeah, that's why I think we should abolish the FISA court. I think it's super unconstitutional. It violates your Fifth Amendment and probably Sixth Amendment. So it's just not a good idea.
We have a lot of violations happening right now. I feel very violated, honestly.
Yeah.
As an American citizen, I feel violated constantly.
Yeah, I agree. And it's not just the government doing it. It's
right from behind.
Big companies. Yeah.
Absolutely violated.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, back to the IRS abolition thing. Abolishing IRS. The thing is that, like, okay, let's say you just say, okay, 15% all through the board, no matter what.
You're saying that for the tax rate?
Yeah, let's just say there's a tax
That's
rate, right?
Super high.
15%?
15. I thought you said 50. I was like, I'm not going to give the government half my money.
That's what we're doing now.
Yeah.
15%. And it's not progressive, which means for those of you that make less than $30,000, with which right now it's very progressive, and you could like almost pay no taxes at like 10 grand a year. If you make 30 grand a year, you're still taxed 15%. If you make 10 grand a year, you're still taxed 15%. That's insane, right? Mm-hmm. Or do you think that makes sense and we just do it? We do it no matter what. Or what if we had a progressive up to 30 point, and then after 30, after the poverty line, which is like 32 or something like that, then it's same all across the board. Would that still wouldn't be equality? People would still complain.
So my thing with abolishing the IRS is that we should also abolish the unconstitutional income tax. We no longer have any sort of income tax. What Mike Huckabee proposed in 2015 was what's called a fair tax. And he basically said, put it to the states to collect revenue, and then the states give that revenue to the federal government to basically pay their dues, kind of like a union, United States. This kind of makes sense. I didn't fully agree with that because I felt the rate was high. It was 28%. And he was in favor of basically a universal basic income of up to, I think, like 1/12 of the total tax owed, so that you could essentially help pay your taxes if you had lower income.
I mean,
But the income tax in specifically is unconstitutional. I don't think it should exist at all. I think you can get all of your money from, the original intention of the post office was to pay for all of the government revenue was from the post office originally. Does that just blow your mind? Now they lose $10 billion a year, or whatever it is, $1 billion a year.
How was that the intention of the post office?
That's how limited our government was. And think about it, post office was the internet of the day. It was the Amazon of the day. It was the biggest, most universal service.
So now you're going to tell me that capitalism was the death of our government spending?
No, I think
we have companies now that are private that are becoming bigger than the governments as far as money is concerned, and they can do more as well. We have people like Amazon that could literally run the country themselves and spend and pay for the treasury and pay for the judiciary branch and all that crap.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Not quite, but yeah, they're huge. It's $1 trillion company, but our I don't even know, our federal revenue is like
what is what you're saying that the post office makes the money? Yeah, what is our actual? Is that it's not GDP? It's gross domestic product, and everyone wants to base the economy on freaking GDP, which isn't really a thing for us. It's more like the trade war in China should be based on that, but.
So the federal government collected revenues of $3.5 trillion in 2019.
Collected that much money.
Yeah.
That's tax too, though. Isn't that? That's also taxes from citizens as well.
Yeah, for sure.
So if we get rid of those
mostly
taxes...
corporations, citizens pay like 1% of all federal income.
And here we are... Okay, that's another argument. Here we are saying corporations get taxed too much.
That's 16.3% of the GDP. So...
Holy crap. So we get rid of all taxes. We have 15%. Let's just say 15%. 15%, and you're saying you also would need to get rid of some of the other taxes too. Income tax gone. So what does that mean? 15% tax on products we buy? Where would this tax come from then? If we don't have income tax,
so I was way off on the individual income taxes. That's 47%. or $1.48 trillion of the federal revenue.
There it is. So our individual income taxes.
So I'm honestly for cutting the spending in half so we can cut the taxes in half. Seems
The
fair.
spending in tax? What do you mean? How would we cut the spending in half?
Government spending.
Oh, right. So you're talking about like programs, like welfare, the stimulus check we got.
Yeah,
Right?
absolutely. The $3
I didn't agree with that
we just
anyway.
spent.
I honestly I thought that was too much. That was too much for sure. So, but I think that we could probably do with some. I don't know, man. If everyone, I just don't. Tell me, run that by me. Run that by me. How would that work? How would a system with the same tax work?
How would the system?
How would a system work if we had all of us had a single tax? And where would it be applied?
It
if
would
it's
most
not
likely, and so payroll taxes are just over a third of federal government revenue. I think you can pick up 80% of what you'd miss out on income tax with. There's a lot of different ideas out there. There's a national sales tax we could do.
The value added tax.
Value-added tax is
Value-added tax.
We talked about that one time. It's a really bad idea.
It's a really bad idea because it all trickles down, right?
And it basically, what's the word? Compounds as so. The more complex a who's a what's it is, whatever a jigger, whatever it is, the more complicated that is, the more expensive it's going to be, and the more taxes you have to pay on that. Like a car is going to be ridiculous.
Right, because of all the
Taxes
parts
a
added
car.
on.
Absolutely. Value-added tax literally taxes each one of those parts. Taxes, this wheel, that wheel, the tire, the engine, piece by piece. And heaven forbid, if the engine comes from a different country, then it's
Yeah,
a whole other story.
Right.
But you could make it up in a lot of different ways. I think just eliminating corporate loopholes would make up for that completely. I mean, what was it? Was it Amazon didn't pay any taxes in what year? I think it was like
2016 or
yeah,
17.
they didn't pay any taxes, like none. Why? Because we have a bunch of corporate loopholes from lobbyists. If we did away with lobbying, Rand Paul had a really good idea. He's on Citizens United. It was a few years ago.
I still want him on the show.
Rand Paul?
Oh, sorry. I thought you said Grandpa.
Oh, yeah. No, he'll be on the show. But Rand Paul had a really good idea.
I thought it was Ron Paul. Never mind. Yeah, you're good.
His son. Yes, Ron Paul's son, Rand Paul. Senator from Kentucky.
Okay.
So Rand had the idea of, how should I put this? He wanted to take the basically the lobbyists that were competing for government contracts and unions that were competing for government contracts, corporations that were competing for government contracts. If they get the contract, they're no longer allowed to lobby. That's it. They get the contract, they're paid, they don't get to lobby anymore. That's part of the contract that they sign.
Like union workers?
Like let's use Lockheed for an example. So Lockheed makes F-35s,
Sure.
the most advanced fighter jet in the world. And the U.S. government bought, 50 of them. And they're about, they're so expensive. I want to say they're like...
Was it 17 million a piece?
Oh, no, way more.
17 billion a piece?
No, I think they're like...
K-Dog, tell us how much they are.
Let me figure it out. I think it's like $300 million plane. Like, it is ridiculous.
How much?
F-35.
How much?
Like, $300 million.
Oh, wowzers.
Yes.
Okay. Holy crap.
Okay.
43 million a plane?
It's $94 million for the F-35A and $122 million for the F-35B.
The B's the one that can fly freaking vertical, though, isn't it?
That's the C. Oh, actually, the B is an aircraft carrier version. I think the C is the one that can do Harrier style.
Oh.
I believe. I could have them backwards, but I think that's how it is. So they're expected to cost $1.5 trillion over a 55-year lifespan. That's how expensive just that one airplane from Lockheed Martin is. So that's a lot of money, right?
Sure.
That Lockheed is getting from the federal government.
Yeah.
So since they have that contract, they shouldn't be allowed to lobby anymore. And I feel like that would do away with a lot of the conflict of interest in Washington, and it would do away with the controversy of Citizens United. Citizens
That's a
United
good
is just,
point,
it's
man.
just corporations are basically people and they have the freedom of speech just like an individual does. They can put their money where their mouth is literally and do whatever they want with it. It's freedom.
Yeah.
Freedom is always good. More freedom is always good. But you can't, like you said before, you can't have those corporations controlling Congress and leaving us, the people, empty-handed. I was going to use another phrase, but I won't. And I'll say leaving us with our in our hands. But if you
Okay, all right.
yeah, so if you do away with lobbying, you're going to find that a lot of our problems go away. A lot of the bickering in Congress will go away. And if we had term limits, then
Wow, that would change a lot of
our
things
whole
too,
country
huh?
would change drastically.
Yeah,
but
term limits,
you basically have to, because Congress is never going to do that. Individually, they're going to be like, oh yeah, my constituents, y'all are going to see me in favor of term limits, and then they get with their little Congress buddies and they get together and they go, no, we're not going to do that.
Yeah, they realize
Nobody's going to sponsor that bill.
No, they realize that they can make money, dude. They realize they can make money.
It's a revolving door.
And you it's just like a freaking, oh my gosh. Let's compare that to a dealership. The revolving door, man. The revolving door. You get in a dealership, you think you're going to do things differently, and then you're beat by the system because the system is a flat rate one, and it beats you down. And soon enough, you're doing the same thing every other tech is doing, trying to make things faster. Now, I'm not saying you're making a car break, and I'm not saying you're doing it wrong, really, but you're skipping steps. Granted, these steps don't all have to be done.
Yeah, so a lot of them
But you're
are
still
arbitrary.
skipping steps, and you're doing it for the sake of the system and the revolving door. On a grander scale, that's Congress.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically, let's say you get a job as an intern in Washington, and the next thing you know, you're working for a congressman, and you're writing speeches for him, and then you get close with a few people in Washington, and then a lobbyist comes up to you and says, hey, would you rather make $15 an hour being an intern in Washington, D.C., a very expensive city, or would you rather make $120,000 a year writing stuff for us and talking with that congressman? And so from there, congressmen become lobbyists become congressmen, and it's a vicious circle.
That's crazy, man.
I think another law that would be great is, and this isn't going to be a law. It's going to be a constitutional amendment. You have to have a convention of states to do that, which is getting more and more momentum every year that we talk about this. So if we had a convention of states and we ratified a new constitutional amendment that established term limits in Congress, that'd be fantastic. We did it for the presidency. Why not do it for Congress? I feel like that would eliminate a lot of the...
When did we do that for the presidency? When was that?
After FDR.
And they decided
Mid-20th century. I think it was 1947 when it was passed.
I didn't, honestly, you're going to have to refresh me here. What was the term before that? No term?
No term limit.
No
So
term on
George
presidents?
Washington, our first president with our current constitution, I should say. He was not the first president of the United States. Common misperception, which I found pretty crazy. I learned that this year, that George Washington was not the first president.
You learned that this year?
Yeah.
All your years of schooling, and you learned that this year?
Yeah, YouTube. For real. YouTube's taught me more than freaking 12 years of public education and college.
Well, don't say that. You're my credentials guy.
Well, I mean, I know what to believe and what not to believe. I'll put it to you like that.
Okay,
I
there
do
you
my
go.
own independent research after I watch a YouTube video for sure, too.
Okay, yeah, I agree with that. Cool, man. Thanks. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I got you back.
Thanks for being on the show, man.
So, where was you? Totally lost my train of thought.
We're talking about when the president's term changed.
So, yes, that happened in like 47,
George Washington was
50.
not the first president, but first one with our Constitution.
Yes. So, under the Articles of Confederation, we had like 6 presidents before George Washington.
And
Well, he was off fighting
when George
the
Washington
redcoats.
came into play, the terms.
Yes, so he was president for one term, then got reelected. Both unanimous. I think it was first one was unanimous for sure with the electors. Second one I think was close to unanimous, if not, it was a landslide. But anyway, he was like, "Look, I'm going to serve this term and I'm done." And that was a huge deal back then because before that it was lords, it was governors appointed by the king. It was lifetime appointments.
Wow,
a governor
yeah.
was appointed for life until the king said, "Oh, you're either going to go to jail for treason, or I've got a new governor that my daughter's going to marry, or whatever."
That's crazy, man.
The corruption was insane. So George Washington established that precedent. Every president besides, so there are a couple of presidents that. So the first president to break that tradition of not running for a third term was Ulysses Grant. Great president. very popular. People didn't like that idea. They voted for somebody else. I believe the next president to do it was successful. It was FDR. He ran for a third term, won handily, and ran for a fourth term, which is crazy, and won handily again, like landslides every election. He was killing it. Everybody was loving what he was doing at the time. And after that, we were like, okay, we can't have that. We've got to have term limits for presidents. It needs to be 2 terms, and that's how that came into being. It was a constitutional amendment, 25th Amendment, or 23rd Amendment. Established term limits. I think that's what it was. Anyway, so I think if we have 25, 20, maybe 27 amendments to the Constitution. Why not have 28? The first 10 amendments to the Constitution we call the Bill of Rights. Like it's been around forever. It's not like a new thing. It just takes a majority of the states to come together and be like, we want this.
And that's the thing I don't understand, because we have, I feel like a few states right now almost make up everyone else's mind.
Well, that's why we have the Electoral College.
Not the state themselves, but the people in it.
Mm-hmm.
You have L.A., you have Seattle, you have New York, and
in Chicago.
In Chicago, and you have those 4 cities essentially deciding what everyone else should believe.
Mm-hmm.
Not even just right now. Right now, it's crazy.
And the reason,
it's happened.
The reason we have the Electoral College was a huge misperception that it was because slave states wanted more representation against the more populated northern states. That's not true. It might be a factor, but the main reason, according to Thomas Jefferson, the guy that wrote the Declaration of Independence, and John Adams, the man who penned the Constitution, they witnessed what was happening in France at the time. And what was happening in France at the time was a French Revolution. It was literally a guillotine taken to the bourgeoisie over and over and over without any sort of due process whatsoever. It was just mob rule completely, kind of like what we're seeing today with like the BLM movement and a few other movements.
Really like cancel culture, right?
Cancel culture too, exactly. It's mob rule, and the founders were terrified of mob rule. That's anti-democratic. We need to really think through our issues before we can just make laws, or constitutional amendments or whatever else. So, or we and it's funny. I was watching Watch Mojo. It's a YouTube channel. They do a lot of top 10s and stuff like that. Really, it's a playful channel. But they did this top 10. It was actually a top 20 most like confrontational talk show, TV talk show moments. Yeah. And one of them was back in the late 80s when Rosie ODonnell had her talk show. Yeah, that was a thing.
Yeah, I can't.
People our age are like, Rosie who and what?
Yeah,
why?
you never heard of it?
Yeah, I only heard of her because
holy
Trump
crap.
called her names.
You know what I mean? Like,
she's a psycho.
My mom always talked about her and was like, I better not catch you watching that, basically, right? And I'm like, oh my gosh.
So she had...
I didn't watch it. It just...
Me neither. I mean, she's weird.
I'm just saying, like, it's like that's how bad, I guess, people thought of that.
So Tom Selleck was on the Rosie O'Donnell show in the late, probably 1988 or something like that. And she's asking him... this was way later. This was 1999. Right after Columbine, the high school massacre in Columbine, Colorado. He goes on thinking he's going to plug his new movie. He just, talk show. It was like a late night show.
She thinks he's going to plug his movie?
She thinks Tom Selleck goes on the show just to plug his movie, just to be like, this is my new movie, check it out. Yeah. We'll have some funny conversations and I'll leave.
I didn't even realize what movies did he even make at that time?
Tom Selleck?
Yeah, what was the movies?
In 99, I have no idea.
I don't know, man.
Quigley Down Under was a sweet movie, though. Kind of corny, but
I've never...
It's fun to
what
watch.
Down Under?
Quigley?
Q-U-I-G-L-E-Y. I've only seen Crocodile Dundee, which reminded me... Down Under reminded me of that.
Yeah, not Tom Selleck. Anyway.
Yeah.
Side note, my grandparents met Tom Selleck once, like where they were at that same hotel. And they were like, "Oh my gosh, that's Tom Selleck," and he like, I think he like came over to them and just said hi, like, "Hey, I noticed you were kind of starstruck a little bit. Just wanted to say hi, and would you guys like an autograph or anything?" And I think they were like, "No, that's okay. We just want to let you know we're really big fans."
Yeah,
Like, that's so classy. What a classy guy.
just-
Anyway, so Tom Selleck
yeah,
on Rosie,
right, for sure.
She
I agree.
she comes at him about the Second Amendment and is like, "You're a spokesperson for the
Did
NRA,
not get this right. Hold
and
on.
you're a."
Dang. Go ahead.
A little wobbly. So yeah, she's like, "You're a spokesperson for the NRA. You're a gun nut. You're a big
She
Second
saying?
Amendment.
Oh my
yes,
gosh.
you're
What the heck?
you're a big Second Amendment advocate." And he's like, "Whoa, I'm not a spokesperson for the NRA. I may have said something about the NRA and said we have a right to the Second Amendment. That's about it." He didn't really say much on the subject. He's a pretty apolitical. Well, he's a conservative, but he stays out of it. He's pretty apolitical, right?
Sure.
And so he's like, "Look,
Wish I could be that guy right now.
he's like, yeah, none of us can at this point." But he basically said, like, "Look, we shouldn't be making policy decisions based off of a quick, rash, emotional decision or emotional event." And what happened 2 years later? Boom, 9/11. Boom, Patriot Act. Boom, all of our civil liberties are gone. Like, NSA's listening to every phone. Well, not listening to every phone call. They can see all of our data. They can see our call logs, see where we are, and it's all in the name of national security.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I agree. That's insane.
if you give up liberty for security, you deserve neither. Benjamin Franklin supposedly said that.
Supposedly.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's why I'm a libertarian.
Toasty.